Hi there, I am Bumi, and welcome to Live for Your Liver podcast. If you've ever felt stuck, unheard, or just plain exhausted trying to figure out your liver condition, you're not alone. I've been there. This space shares real stories, practical tools, and the gentle guidance I wish I had. This podcast is for educational purposes only and does not replace any medical advice. Please consult your healthcare provider for care specific to you. I have a remarkable young lady here that I am so much respect for, Barb Ashcroft. We are both advocates of wellness living, and she has an amazing liver story that I would like you guys to hear about. Hi, Barbara. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Boomy. It's a thrill. Thank you for the invitation.
I'm so glad you're here. And tell us briefly about yourself before we dive into your story.
Okay. Well, I'm 77 years young and been privileged, I think, that um, wellness found me 43 years ago when my health was not good. And at that point in time, I was very encouraged to learn. And through that process, um, it's funny, Boomy, because in those days, I was a corporate banker and I just thought, just like this is a vehicle, this body, that, you take it in for its lube oil filter change at the car dealership every so often. And they do whatever they're going to do, and then you just carry on. But I never ever thought that I had any ownership in what was going on here. And unfortunately for me, where I was having the lube oil filter change was with surgeons. So I was having surgeries for some years every 6 months. And that was, like I say, it was an awareness I didn't have until somebody started sharing about natural modalities, what I could do for me. At that point in time, as a corporate banker, I was covered in boils all over my body, not just cystic acne, like really bad teenage acne, but boils. And I had no idea it was an indication that my body was toxic and was causing a challenge. So, anyways, that was the beginning. And gratefully, in my lifetime, I've had some really good mentors and advocates to help support me be able to use this now as a laboratory to see what works and to be able to improve on how I am. So I think that's how I got to be 77, or I don't think I would be here.
That's an amazing story. Really amazing. And, you and I had a chat once when I heard about your liver story, because that is something that is very, I'm very passionate about, improving liver health because of, my journey and things like that. And when I heard your story, I was so happy to hear that, this is someone else that was really taking charge, of her liver health, and look at what happened. So tell us about that liver story and how
Okay,
you
well,
got.
let me give you maybe a few years prior what led up to the liver story because it
Yeah.
wasn't a one-time occurrence. As I was sharing about these boils all over me, that was an indication that I had called auto intoxication, meaning my body couldn't get rid of the toxins. And being that the liver is a filter, you can imagine how hard it was working to deal with all of that. And so initially, I was having gallbladder attacks that would obviously leave me in peril. I was spent a lot of time in hospital with that. Boomy, it just still amazes me. I'm not sure how old I'd be in, and we were starting a holiday. My husband and I got to my parents' home the first night. I'm laying on the bathroom floor, just retching with this gallbladder attack, and got to the hospital. And so it's mealtime. So guess what they bring me? They bring me Salisbury steak covered in gravy with this heavy, heavy meal that I should be on clear fluids. It was like, oh, don't you understand what I'm going through? Anyways, it's just, you know, it's interesting if we're not aware, we can't do anything. But once we're aware, we have some control. And obviously, I sent it back and said, no, I wasn't going to be ready for a worse attack
Mhm.
of this gallbladder. Anyways, I started on a path trying to do all the natural modalities to help with the gallbladder and was really not having much success with that. I ended up in our major hospital in our province here, and they were trying to do, it's called lithotripsy, where they shoot um, uh, sound waves at your uh, gallstones.
So,
They do that also for kidney stones, and I understand it's very successful. Anyway, not for me. It was like being hit with a Brahma bull right in your liver location every 30 seconds. It was just horrific. Anyway, so I think they stopped doing that after they had me. I think I was the last patient in the province to have that. But anyway, so it ended up I did have gallbladder surgery and had my gallbladder removed. And uh, said, I've got to see these gallstones that have been causing me so much grief. And they actually couldn't. They said they had to pulverize them to get them even out of me. They were so big.
mm,
So it was like, wow. So that was the first aspect. And so this was probably 20 some years ago when I had my gallbladder removed. But a few years ago, I was going through some major stress. Our business that I had been operating in for decades was not surviving the pandemic, and lots of crazy things were happening. And I was carrying this bag of trouble with me wherever I was going. And so, anyways, I ended up right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic with this excruciating encounter. And it was just like a gallbladder attack, which I thought that's bizarre. I haven't had a gallbladder for decades. Anyways, ended up in emergency. Of course, there's no room in the inn because of everything. And what had happened was my liver was producing gallstones, and one or more got stuck in my biliary duct, which brought on pancreatitis. And my first child, I was in labor for 96 hours with her, but this was double. this was double. And so finally, on the third day, they admitted me, my husband with me in the emergency all that time, hooked up to an IV with pain stuff and everything else. Anyways, not to belabor the fact, but what was good was that I'm diligent with getting um, my numbers. And so, being that I was in the hospital, I was able to get what my liver markers were. And I'll just share the before story because of the four liver markers, the one normal would be under 17. Mine was 23. That's not, too bad. The second one should be between 35 and 160, 120. Mine was 164. But the third one, the biggie, should be under 31, and my marker showed 839.
Mm.
So that's why I'm sure I was experiencing what I was experiencing. The next one should be under 36, was 233, and the next one should be under 36 and was 122. So now that I had those, when I was released, um, I carried on doing what I had learned to do with clean eating and, especially for me, whenever I had challenges with my gallbladder, I always made sure I had malic acid available. Malic acid is found in apple, raw apple juice. And what it does, it helps to break down stones. So I made sure that I had that. And then, of course, increasing my hydration and doing all the things that, we learn to do. And, I was having progress. I was having ongoing testing and seeing what my numbers were, but they really seemed to stall. I got so far. And then I started working specifically on, we have um, in our body, we have these wonderful um, communication channels called meridians. And so I was really focused on working on my gallbladder liver meridian because I really wanted to get a better flow with all of that. And after doing some of that type of strategy where I had some new technology to work with, that's when I started breaking through. So after a year, my numbers, I'll just be real quick with this because I'm sure it's monotonous for people to be thinking all these different numbers. But anyways, the of the four, the first one was uh had been 23. It's now 10, which is seven under the normal. The second one was 164, and mine was now 76. And that is supposed to be 35 to 120. And the biggie that was 839 was now 47. And what was interesting about that, Boomy, is even the medical labs had once said that should be under 31, would then move the scale up to under 44 was normal. So I was just 3 points out of normal, and that was really exciting. And then, of course, the other numbers dropped way below what the threshold was. So was really pleased. The physician following up with me, she just said, "You're doing great." My A1C for blood sugar, for my glucose was good. My thyroid tests were improving. And she just said, just keep on doing what you're doing. But it was Another aspect that really hit me with this, Boomy, and that was the stress of what I had been under. And I know from all of my modalities that I've been trained in that anger, or especially anger, frustration turned inward, creates challenges. It creates all of the ituses that we can have.
Mhm.
And I had really been tough on me with trying to hold all that stress and not letting it go. They say leave your bags at the door of all the stuff that you're dragging. Leave it at the door, because the longer you hold on to it, the sooner it's going to be in us. And so for me, that was just as important, because I was actually asked to share at church, because I said I was reading all about a stony heart. How do we get a stony heart? And thinking it in relationship to the liver. And I thought, wow, there's such a
Yeah.
parallel that when a thought is a thing. So when you give it that much importance about how mad you are, how frustrated you are, how stressed you are, it just amplifies and amplifies. And the liver is an organ that holds on to all of this. And so, anyways, it was quite a lesson in itself. And, of course, moving forward, I'm still continuing on with what I know. And when I get that ache below my shoulder blade in the back, it's like a little bit of a reminder, a little bell, hello, hello, what are you holding on to? What are you holding on to? And just to be diligent, because a doctor I trained under years ago had said, listen to your body talk. It doesn't just say yum, yum, and poo, poo. It says a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, so that's an ongoing thing. I think we all have areas that we need to really laser focus in on. And thank the Lord that the liver can regenerate. Because I mean, goodness. I mean, what this poor liver went through for all of those times is quite something. So I hope that's not too intimidating for your guests.
No, absolutely not. This is I'm so glad you shared that because a lot of people don't realize that the liver that we have does so much and it's just there silently and people don't really pay attention to it. You talk about stress. When you have a lot of stress, check your liver out. Something is happening and you don't really have to have a disease, to actually focus on that health of the liver because you
Mhm,
want that liver to function to do everything else.
mhm,
And what I also love about what you said, which I so appreciate, is the data you were showing on your figures.
mhm,
Because sometimes, our liver functions, they can seem normal, but then something is still wrong. And I remember even in my own situation, when I made that drastic change, the intentional change that I need to, kind of change that mindset and free myself of those emotions that is
mhm,
blocking things to, good things coming in. When I decided to do that, that was when a lot of changes started happening. Then you start focusing on what you really need to do. And I'm so glad you mentioned that because when you were talking about the range, how that changed, a lot of people, that are having liver issues, they they are scared. They are scared because they hear so much about what's going on, and they're looking at their readings. A lot of them don't even understand what this reading says, and that's part of what I do, trying to shed light, educate them that this readings, this is really what that means. Not trying to diagnose them or things like that, but at least trying to guide them, show them this is what it really means, so that have they will have educated information where they can ask their doctors questions. And your reading, I mean, it is so remarkable. You mean from what you had before, 800 and something, and now all the way down to normal.
47.
So you can,
Yeah.
yeah, you can imagine people who don't believe that there are alternative solutions, out there.
Hmm.
And we
Hmm.
both know because we've used the same kind of uh, tools, wellness
Hmm.
tools, the technology, which actually took us from this level to the next.
Hmm.
You talk about your readings. That was the same thing I went through, waiting for that to change. And all of a sudden, something from less than 99.9 just shut up. So when you told me about your changes, the improvement, I just could not, I was so excited. I just could not wait for us to chat. And I'm so grateful, that, you got better. And I believe a lot of people that are listening to this will know that there is a lot of hope. They should not just, I'm not saying don't listen to your doctor, because that is your doctor. They know about your situation and things like that. But there are also, the body can actually heal itself. The liver can regenerate if you
Hmm.
don't wait too long, and
Hmm.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, for talking about that. Now, if I have to ask you, you know, if how would your life have changed if you didn't do what you had to do?
Well, two two aspects for sure. Um, you know, I used to call it stinking thinking. When your body's toxic and it can't help but affect here. And what affects here comes out of here. And um, I was, when I was in the worst of that years back, for sure, um, I was a negative Nelly. I focused on the bad, the worst, the what, complain, 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 etc. So I'm sure uh, if people were around me then, thank goodness they were forgiving, because thank goodness, when you get rid of the toxicity, it brings a whole new spin on things. So for sure, I don't think I would have been a happy, pleasant person to be around. But also, truly, Boomy, I don't know if I'd be here. I mean, I already had 13 surgeries. I mean, if that was the track that I was operating on and continued to give it permission and not be mindful that I had a part to play in that, I think it just would have been one or two or three or four or five more surgeries and probably be more horizontal than vertical. And I think for sure people don't realize the power of what they think. They don't realize the power of what they speak and bring into place by just intention and prayer. It's just really amazing how that happens. So I think I was sharing with you, and maybe I was bragging a little. I probably was bragging a little this week because at 77, I did a workout with 70 squats on Monday. And I am still shocked that I could stand up the next day. I thought I'd be in a permanent squat. But, you know, again, every 7 years we're a new person cellularly.
Mm-hmm.
So why can't we be a healthier specimen?
Yeah.
And so and my passion is to lessen the fear of aging. I
Wonderful.
want to help people so that they're not so focused on finding the name of whatever it is they think they have or whatever, spending all that energy. Just help yourself be healthy. The body can fix itself if it has the tools. And
Exactly.
so that's probably uh, how I feel I would be if I hadn't um, been a lifelong learner, and then to have the wonderful mentors I've had in my life to help me and support me and be a sounding board and sometimes be tough love. So
That's true. We need that, sometimes, and we need good people surrounding us to put us in check.
hmm
And the other thing is, can put us in check. Do we listen?
mm.
Do we listen? And at the end of the day, one of the things I always tell people is when you're going to bed at night, you're going alone.
Mm.
Nobody's going to bed with you.
Mhm,
So if you're in pain, you're fatigued, nobody else is going through that with you.
mhm,
But if you have someone who can guide you to how you can get better,
mhm.
it's worth listening to,
Right.
especially when you have seen other people that has helped.
Mhm,
It is better you listen to that voice. You look back, think back and say, okay, what I've been doing, how has that worked? Has it taken me to where I want to be? And if that's a no, then maybe you should start thinking of other options. How can I get better? Because there
mhm.
is solution.
Right.
And I'm so glad that I'm grateful I'm able to have this space to share, you know, and help people to listen that there are options out there. And look at you. You see where you are today. If you did not, focus on your health, like you said, you won't be where you are now. You won't be talking. We won't be actually chatting now. Yeah.
No.
And if I didn't do the same thing, I would have been long gone. I
Mhm,
lost my dad and my brother.
mhm,
So I would have been long gone. So if anybody is hearing this today, they need to know that there are other options. And and that is what we're here doing, sharing, all that information. If this really resonates with any of you, scan that QR code and I can, just to have a chat, 15-minute chat with me, that would be great. I'm actually doing a 3-day challenge now that is starting next week, all completely free. Come on here, listen, and then you find out about more about what we are doing. And Barb here has been in the wellness industry for so many years. She has wealth of knowledge. And that is why I was excited to bring her to share her story because we are paying it forward, letting people know there are other options. And if I can ask you, Barb, what is the one thing that you would like people to, you know, to actually take from this conversation today?
Can I have two?
Okay, two. You can have two. You can have three.
Well, the first aspect that I think is really overlooked with our health is, and I think it's what started me into that dilemma of my auto intoxication, which is just the body has lost its ability to eliminate toxins, was that we're not paying attention to how regular our body is. The body obviously has to take in fuel, it has to break down the fuel, it has to grow new cells, it has dead cells, it's got to slough off with all the other stuff. So if that's not happening, you're having your sewage department back up right into your house. And I just really encourage people to pay attention to that aspect. For me, way back as a late teenager, early 20s, when I went to the doctor, and they'd say, well, whatever's normal for you. Well, having a bowel movement every 8 days is not normal. There's a lot of sewer system backing up into the house. And I think that that's something that we we're obviously can be aware of. And so a lot of that is hydration, a lot of that is eating well, etc. But it's something that we need to monitor. When we have babies, that's how we monitor how they are. When we're changing their diaper, well, what's happened? So anyways, I think that's a key aspect. But the other second one that I've already mentioned a bit is make sure you're bookending your day with whatever is good, whatever is pure, whatever is a good report. And don't carry the grunge of what's been happening with your day, your business, your work, your family with you. Just being able to leave those bags at the door because it does accumulate just like more garbage. And the liver is the one that pays the price. So I think it's something that gives us prerogative to be choosing the good. A thought is a thing. And so making sure when you're pinning it down to the bulletin board that it's a good thing.
You are very right. That is a good advice and information that people really should pay attention to. Thank you so much, Barb. And if how would you like to be reached if someone would like to talk to you?
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I don't know if you can see which way do I gotta go? This way. Okay.
Yes.
My one email is we change lives at shaw.ca is one of the ways to reach me. Or you can certainly look up BJ Ashcroft on LinkedIn and Barb Ashcroft on Facebook. My and just if you're asking to friend me, please always include a message with it. Otherwise, because I get oodles of people that I don't know if they've been, who they are. So if I know you and mention, heard you on Boomy's Love Your Liver podcast, and I'll be happy to connect and share. And probably in Boomy's community, I might see you there too.
Yes. Thank you so much, Barb. I really appreciate your presence here. And thank you for sharing this space with me today. If this episode resonated with you, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to grab your free 7-day liver reset checklist, and it's a gentle daily guide to help you reconnect with your body and support your liver naturally. You're also invited to join my Live for Your Liver community on Facebook. We would love to welcome you. Healing is possible, and you don't have to walk this road alone. So until next time, be gentle with yourself, and remember, live for your liver because it silently supports you.